then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from West St. Paul Studios, it's time for MinneZona Sports Live with DJ Matty C and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back, yes. Episode 207. 207. It is a great day to be not only a Zoner, but a Minnesota Vikings fan. We will get into that in a second, but I am your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. Matt Callahan, a.k.a. Callie, a.k.a. Matty C, etc., 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 and all the way from Granite City Studios in Aiken, Minnesota, Paul Volda, St. Cloud, Minnesota, yep. Paul Volda.
There we
Shield,
go.
what's going on there, Shield?
You know what? It's Wednesday. I'm just glad past 6 o'clock. Well, now 7 o'clock as well. I'm just happy that I'm still awake and still have pants on at this point. Not going to lie, about a half hour before the show got started, was nodding off, sitting in my chair while dealing with a couple of kids. So glad things worked out much better that way.
Adulting is so much fun, isn't it, Shield?
So much fun.
Well, hopefully, I think they're just excited that our Minnesota Vikings are, in fact, 2-0. That's on the docket first for the Tater Tot Hot Take. But let's go over our pick'em. Our pick'em has been very, very well. Voldy, and this is a reminder, too, for all of you to get those in. Yes. I know a lot of you have done it already ahead of time, so props out to all those owners that did that. Our fantasy football league's going well for some people. Some people, it's not going great.
Not good, Bob.
I'll give you a hint. No, just kidding. We both are just it's been rough going for your co-hosts, but we're working towards it.
We're competitive.
Yeah, exactly.
We're taking it all the way down to the fourth quarter of the Monday night game. That's how close these games have been, or at least these matchups have been the first 2 weeks of the season. I've been taking it all the way down to the fourth quarter, and shout out to Brandon Ayuk, week 1, picking up a couple of catches with McCaffrey out in my matchup. I believe it was against Team Beat Mikey, and got the dub there. But last week, was a little bit tougher. I had Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson going up against Saquon Barkley. Luckily, nobody scored a touchdown out of all those people there, I believe. Maybe Saquon.
Or a touchdown. Or first down.
I needed a touchdown real bad out of one of those two on that final drive. I had Bijan. I had Kyle Pitts. Drake London, son of a bitch, had to catch a touchdown. You rat bastard. But hey, you know what? I'll take Philly losing any time of the week. So
that's Tyler's guy. That's Tyler's guy from the Brotherly Ballers podcast. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, our pick'em is doing well. Shout out to our guy Victor, who is leading the pack in week 2. Victor has gotten 24 correct out of 8. Right behind him is our winner from last week, Mikey's Fresh Crepes, who did awesome as well. Victor just jumped him, which I assume is probably because of the Monday night game. So, Well done, Victor. Well done, Mikey's Fresh Crepes. And well done, Shield. He is sitting in third for Pick'em. So congratulations, Shield.
I literally don't know because I had a crap. I think I might have finished like 1 or 2 games above 500. I have no idea how or why I'm in second.
I'm surprised I'm still in like 13th, to be honest, because last week was rough. Baby. It was rough.
It was. So, a lot of upsets.
Lots of upsets. So get those picks in, get those lineups set, the whole deal. So We'll talk about, we'll remind you as the show goes on. Now, Voldy, Tater Tot Hot Take, obviously the Vikings are 2-0. They beat the Niners. We'll talk about that. We'll look ahead to Sunday versus the Texans. And also, the Gophers have a big game. They're fighting for bacon. And if you know what I mean by that, they're fighting for Floyd of Rosedale against Iowa. Let's finally
Fair catch. Fair catch.
Yeah.
Oops.
Oops.
Too soon.
Too soon for Iowa fans. And then Callahan School of Logic. We are doing it's actually been a while since we've done it, but I got some things to say about the Twins. I want to go over some things that was missed in my rant from last week. I want to kind of just talk about why the Twins are in this position, things like that. So I will get into that for School of Logic, and then we've got a plethora of ARAs tonight. One involving Bryceyoung, who was benched for the Red Rifle. Tua, sent to the IR after latest concussion. First-year Pro Hall of Fame candidates. I always love doing this for ARA. And then Ewers gets hurt for Texas. Archmanning is starting. He did pretty well. And then to wrap things up, Trout might be open to a position change. So we'll see how that turns out. And then, as always, we got Shield shoutouts. So, with that being said, Voldy, I've talked way too much. Let's finally get into Tater Tot Hot Take, baby.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
Yes, there is an O in it. We know it's misspelled. We just want to make sure people understand where we're at with our intro.
I still cannot believe I brought that up. Was it last week we were talking about it?
Yeah.
5 years to figure out that, Tater is spelled differently, or I should say, not spelled wrong. It's spelled differently than what most people would say. You know what? It's whatever. It's great.
I think, this could be our thing. Just having it misspelled can kind of be our thing.
Yeah.
Now, Shield, I did go to a wedding last weekend, and I did have some relatives talk about Maddie C doing the before Hot Take. People will watch that stuff. It's crazy in itself.
I love it.
So they people are watching. We appreciate the people that do and whatnot, and especially the people that... we could go without. Just kidding. I'm kidding. All right. So let's start it off with our Minnesota Vikings. Voldy, how do you like the Vikes now? How do you like those Vikings now? The Vikings get the 23-17 win over the San Francisco 49ers. What a game it was. There were times where the Vikings were like literally on the verge of blowing out the 49ers. Everybody knows it. But with that being said, Sam Darnold, what a game he had. He absolutely tore it up for the Minnesota Vikings. 17 of 26, 268 yards, and 2 tuds. Okay, he had an interception, but you know what?
Right.
Whatever. It's fine. So, Voldy, you and I were very... busy on Sunday, so we had stuff going on. You had Granitecitylumberjacks. I was at a wedding, and I was listening to the game on the way. Shout out to PA for the awesome play-by-play, and Pete Bursich, and the whole crew at KFAN. So, Voldy, what are your thoughts on the game? I know you'd looked at some of the highlights and whatnot, and this is quite encouraging. This is big. We didn't really expect them to, beat the Niners, especially what happened last year when the Vikings didn't have Justin Jefferson and had some injuries. They had some injuries too. We thought they were going to come in guns a-blazing. They kind of did, but our defense was awesome as well. So, Voldy, what are your thoughts on Sunday's victory?
There are 3 certain things in life that you can count on: death, taxes, and the 49ers losing in Minnesota. They have not won a game in Minnesota, I believe, since 1992. That predates at least both of us. I mean, there's a few other people that are probably a part of this program and have probably seen or at least have been alive the last time the 49ers won in Minnesota. That's always great. I personally enjoyed that. But looking at talking about this game as well, one of the big things that is for certain, if you're a team, especially special teams, that you can get a block punt in this contest, in any contest, your odds of winning the game drastically go up. The Vikings did get a block punt in that game. Did they turn it into points? Yes. Did they take advantage of what the defense was giving them? Yes. And Sam Darnold pretty much played the game of his life in an ultimate revenge game. A lot of people have been focusing on the Kirko Cousins revenge game against the Vikings coming up. This was a Sam Darnold revenge game, and he showed why they shouldn't have cut him in the first place. I mean, given the situation they have with their quarterback room right now, they're probably like, all right, yeah, well, maybe we shouldn't have cut him. But overall, you had that 97-yard touchdown for the Vikings, connecting with Justin Jefferson on that, getting him going, especially after a game last week where maybe he didn't put up the biggest numbers, or at least kind of a little bit of a staggered start to the season that maybe we've seen in the last few years. Getting him going, and especially getting him in the end zone, is huge. You've seen the first 3 weeks now of the season, or at least the first 2 games of the season, going now into week 3, compared to the season opener and also now this contest, both complete game efforts on all 3 phases, with special teams, with offense, and especially the defense too. You see how that veteran presence of the offseason from the Vikings is now starting to step up with a few key guys that they've picked up. I mean, Van Ginkel almost had another almost had another interception in a key situation that the Vikings definitely needed. Sadly, it didn't get an interception, but was a big-time tackle for loss. That certainly changed the game. Even if he does get that interception, Vikes get the ball back. But that play alone, that being, that ball bouncing in the hands of Debo, ended up being a tackle for loss, which then forced the hand of the 49ers to kick a field goal. If that ball is not batted, or at least gets into Debo's hands cleanly, that could very well be a touchdown for them, and then changes the entire phase of the game, because after that, it ends up being an onside kick. Vikings recover, run out the clock. There's another win as well. But overall, a very strong start and finish for the Vikings there, from what I saw in my limited viewership of that contest. But at least the most complete game that we've seen through 2 contests of the year.
Couldn't agree more. The whole notion behind the Vikings this year was, the tough slate of games that they have. Mm-hmm. Well, the Giants, we kind of knew that was probably a win, whatever.
Yeah.
You go up against a team that has, before the game, obviously, Kittle. You have Debo Samuel, you have Ayuk, who's still kind of getting used to things. No McCaffrey, but Jordan Mason, let's not forget, he had a pretty good game as well. He had over 100 yards, smack dab, and also a touchdown. That, I think, is due to this young man is very good, and also the 49ers are very good. So we have some talking heads on the national and the national sports media, and you probably know who I'm talking about, Stephen A. Smith, that won't give credit to the Vikings that they won this game.
They never will.
They never will, but here's what I come back with that. A 97-yard touchdown pass to Justin Jefferson, and you still don't believe in how Darnold has some ability. You see what coaching does, Voldy. And, Mikey has put so eloquently in the chat, our Vikings expert, he says, great statement win for the Vikes. Need to clean up the turnovers? Yep. Left 14 points on the board because of them. Very true. Extend KOC and Flores for 20 years. Hey, I'm fine with that, man. I will absolutely. I'm a fan of that. I'm just scared because things are going so well for Flores that it could potentially mean he's gone next year, which we don't want to have. But KOC, I without a doubt, is going to get an extension. And Flores, he has that defense believing, man, and they are that damn good. Mm-hmm. Now, people have gotten some tape, just kind of seeing how things go with our Minnesota Vikings, but, I want to shout out the defense because the free agent signings that the Vikings made, Van Ginkel, Cashman, Stephon Gilmore, and Grenard, guys like that have come in, and obviously the draft with Dallas Turner, have really shown this is the Flores defense. This is exactly what he wanted to see with this team. Now, Josh Metellus has been a ball hawk. He has been all over the field. He'll play any freaking position. Voldy, if he wanted to, he could play kicker. He could play punter. Who knows? Metellus could do everything. It's awesome. So, shouts out to him. But the one player I want to bring up, Blake Cashman. Give him that money. Former Gopher, obviously. Comes over from Houston from last year. 13 tackles, 1 sack, 3 passes defensed. That is a stud right there, baby. That is huge. It's huge. We really like Cashman. We really do. So Cashman, it was fantastic. That's exactly what we want to see from Cashman, and Texans shouldn't have let him go. You should have let him go. So you get to see him this Sunday do his work. Dirty Harry, I'm telling you, the guy's timeless, man. He made that fourth down play, knock it out of Juwan Jennings' hands. Oh, he is just amazing. I am wearing a jersey under this with Darrison Smith. Because Jefferson was fantastic, obviously, the 97-yard touchdown and whatnot. But the defense, I cannot say enough good things about what they did. Now, granted, did they give up some yards? Yes. Did they give up points? Sure. But those coming off turnovers, and the Niners are good. They are. Yeah. You can't deny that the Niners aren't good. And this was a statement win. And this is exactly why I said in the lower third today is that this is a statement win for the Vikings saying, listen, we're not just going to keel over for all these teams. We're going to try and win because we know how good we are. So that is something that no one expected. Everyone expected the Vikings to suck and be a terrible team. But you know what? Coaching, like we said, goes a long way. So let's talk about Sammy D. Let's talk about BD Darnold. And you know what I mean when I say that, Voldy. You know what I mean if you look on the Twitter sphere. But Sam, the whole team has this guy believing, Voldy. He is going out there. He's making the right decisions. He had the bad interception. But you know what? There's going to be some bad ones. I mean, this isn't a guy that's going to, he can be a gunslinger. He's a gunslinger. And, he gets the ball out there. He finds the open guy. And, Voldy, let's not forget, Justin Jefferson did get hurt in the game. He has to go out of the game. Who are your wide receivers? Addison's already out. Yep. Hawkinson's not back. You have Jalen Naylor, you have Tristan Jackson, you have Brandon Powell. And what does Sam Darnold do? The Vikings only have like a 6-7 point lead at the time. Yep. And what does Sam Darnold do? He leads them down the field, all the way down the field, kicks the field goal just to get us up enough to win the game. Slice and dice. He was slicing and dicing. He had that throw to Naylor, which was just on point. Oh, I love it. So what do you got to say
Naylor
about...
hardly even know her.
Right, yeah, so, Voldy, what are your thoughts on the performance of one Sammy D?
We're really starting to see, obviously, the quarterback that a lot of people wanted to see coming out of USC into the draft at New York with the Jets, making do with what you had in a crucial situation, talking about with that big drive towards the end of the game as well, that second to last offensive drive for the Vikings too. There were chances there, and a lot of people were just like, all right, we just need to hang on, we just need to kill the clock. making do with what you have because of what we've seen with, Sam Darnold in the past, minus those, that season that he had out in San Francisco, last 2 seasons, I should say, out in San Francisco. He really hasn't had a true receiving core to work with. He had maybe a guy or two. I think Robbie Anderson was still the main guy in New York when he was with the Jets. In Carolina, I had no idea who was going to be his number 1 receiver, if any at all. And then you go to San Francisco. Sure, you got a few guys, but you're primarily working with backups at that point because Darnold wasn't even going to be the main guy coming in the last couple seasons, especially with the emergence of Brock Purdy. But now given the chance here in Minnesota, be the number 1 guy, work with some of those top receivers, but then you start trickling your way down. You get these 3rd, 4th, even 5th receiver guys that hardly see any action on the field beyond maybe special teams or maybe, garbage time situation. He made the most out of the situation. I would definitely see especially a lot more rapport with Jalen Naylor as opposed to, Justin Jefferson. But you like to see how that connection between Jets and Darnold has come through, but also getting Jalen Naylor a lot more. He's truly emerged 2 games into the season, obviously it's still a long season ahead, as that number 3 receiver for the Vikings right now. Got a touchdown in the first game, got a touchdown in the second game as well. Brandon Powell's starting to get a little bit more action on the field. You like to see how Tristan Jackson, who won that job out of training camp, has started to come through. You get the rookie in Sherfield as well in on some reps too. Haven't seen him really touch the ball a whole lot, but really relying on that. And then also throwing in the fact, we got Aaron Jones. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. Yeah. That's also a nice real touch. And hopefully here within the next few weeks, we can really shore up the tight end position because I just saw that the Vikings lost Nick Muse, I think it was, to the IR for the next few games. Right. So you have to shore that up. Myles Gaskin got signed to the 53-man roster officially too. So things really starting to really come together, especially with Sam Darnold making the most out of what he's got in front of him, even with Jets a little bit banged up early.
Yeah, and it sounds like Justin Jefferson will be playing on Sunday. He says he is, and he was a limited participant in practice today. So that means it sounds like he's probably on track to play unless it locks up. Or so. It sounds like a quad injury, but he says he'll be okay. All I know is that's one hell of a bruise that he probably has on his quad right there. So
yeah, and I've also heard too, like that bruise and that contusion there could like swell up too, if not properly taken care of. So that might affect his mobility a little bit. But as long as it's just a bruise and it gets proper rest and obviously still getting reps at the same time, it should be hopefully all right for him.
The Vikings sacked Brock Purdy 6 times, but I want to shout out a guy that has been awesome these first 2 games. Patrick Jones. Patrick Jones has been everywhere. He went up against Trent Williams, the silverback, your guy, and got it done. So, hey, shout out to Pat Jones. He's obviously getting it done. The gangster you mentioned before, Van Ginkel, almost had one. It's just the thing is, I think somebody said on the Field Access, if you watch some of the Viking YouTube videos that they post, there was a coach that just said, "Catch the effing ball," jokingly or whatnot. I mean, that's tough coming off a screen. You have to try to. It comes at you quick. Debo made a heads-up play, but the Vikings stopped. It was just a really great play. Stop trying, Andrew Van Ginkel. Just stop. I mean, people don't understand. But we will not fault you if you keep doing that because we want the interceptions.
Talking about the defense here too, really quick, and just one thing I wanted to mention too is just now that we've seen, we kind of mentioned it last week too. It's just that this B-flow defense going all the way back to even with obviously his time in New England and with Belichick. The defense is really centered around, you can still have some of the big guys, the big heavy hitters, but it's really a finesse defense is what it really is. Pressure on the quarterback, linebackers come around, maybe get a pick, and obviously defensive backfield hold their own against some of the receivers. A lot more finesse that you can see. Take a guy out, bring out a tackle, and allow the guy rush off the edge. And I really like what I've seen so far, especially with a guy like Van Ginkel, who's just really, he can work his way as a linebacker. He can bump back in coverage as well, put pressure on the quarterback, get a sack, get a turnover. We'll also start to see some of these D tackles and D ends obviously shrink that line of scrimmage and obviously force pressure for the quarterback to maybe make an errant throw, while also seeing guys really come through the linebacking core. Cashman with a lot of tackles, even a sack too. And really have liked to see the pressure that's really been built up by the Vikings here through these first couple of games.
Right, and another thing with that too is that, our corners are covering as much as they can with Gilmore, with Byron Murphy Jr. They're doing a great job of giving them time to get to the quarterback, and Purdy didn't know what the hell to do half the time, even though he made some really nice plays. I mean, there's a reason why he is the starting quarterback for
sure.
the Niners.
Absolutely.
I mean, I got to give him his flowers, and
Definitely.
he had some nice throws in that game. So we look ahead to Houston. Now, Houston, they have some former Vikings. As you can see over my, since I'm facing this way, over my right shoulder, you see that Danielle Hunter jersey. Danielle is back, and one Stefon Diggs, Mr. Minneapolis Miracle himself, along with Case Keenum, too. But this is going to be a tough game. Don't get me wrong, but Voldy, I'm just going to give a spoiler just because I'm feeling quite confident. And, people have been really hyping up the Vikings, and yours truly will be at the game. So
nice.
That'll be a fun tidbit. See some stuff on social medias. I might post some stuff. But I think the Vikings are going to beat the Texans.
Ooh.
I'm already saying I think the Vikings are going to beat the Texans. I like the way our defense is playing. I love the way our offense is playing. I think if we're able to combat against Danielle, against the pass rush that they have with Anderson and everything, Aaron Jones, Ty Chandler. Ty Chandler had like 82 yards of rushing. He was fantastic.
Crazy.
I mean, the thing is, if Jones is banged up a little bit, we got Chandler. And Chandler gets the job done. I love the way he plays and runs the ball. But I'm that confident on Sunday against the Texans. C.J. Stroud, I really wanted the Vikings to get C.J. Stroud at one point, but I think our defense is going to give him some fits. I really do. And I think that's why I'm already saying I think the Vikings are going to win on Sunday. Voldy, what do you think real quick?
I think looking at the matchup, too, the first thing I want to the big thing that I look at, too, can the Vikings defense cover? Obviously, a lot of weapons that they do have with Houston. I mean, Joe Mixon a little bit banged up out of the backfield, but still, they've got some running backs. Ogunbowale is another guy that it can work out of the backfield, especially. You throw him into the mix. Dalton Schultz at tight end. You've got Diggs. You've got Tank Dell. You've got Nico Collins. They've got receiving threats like crazy. Can they cover is the big thing, and it'll force a lot of pressure for C.J. Stroud, maybe work his way out of the pocket, scramble around, and obviously hopefully that opens up for the defense to maybe sack him around a few times. That's really the big thing I look at with this matchup. And on the other side, I mean, there's a couple of bumps for the D-line for the Houston for the Texans as well. Obviously, Danielle Hunter coming back. Will Anderson is still not. Is it Will Anderson, the second, third-year guy out of Houston? I can't remember. Young guy, really good defensive end for them too. Still could be a little bit banged up at times for him in his young career, but still, they can protect Darnold. They can get pressure on C.J. Stroud. I could definitely see this one being a Vikings win, but I think it's going to be a tight one because you can't keep that offense down. You can hang in there. A lot of bend, but don't break. They're going to have to really get them off the field on third down.
I mean, last thing before we hit Gophers here. Stefon Diggs. I want to know, does he A, get booed, or C, do the fans cheer him? Now, a lot forced his way out of Minnesota. That's kind of a kind of a dick move. But at the same time, Minneapolis Miracle, he did have a really nice post ode to the fans and stuff like that after that whole thing too. I mean, how are you looking at that?
And he spoke out against Mike Zimmer too, so that might work his way.
Did.
You know, the enemy of my enemy is also my friend. I would say, I think enough time has passed, and obviously we're a team removed from the team he got traded to.
Right.
In Buffalo. So I think the Vikings, I think there'll be more cheers than boos. I think it'll probably be, I'll say 70-30 cheers to boos.
I'm going to say mix. I think it's going to be half and half because I think people, you know, of what he said, he's not going to mention what happened or, you know, and everything like that. But I think most of it was directed towards Zimmer. That's why I'm like, if he comes out, like, I'll maybe do a couple claps, call it good. Because I mean, the photo is right in the back of me here. I mean,
it's literally there.
This is it's iconic. It really is. So, I still have love for Diggs. So I'm not. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But they gonna lose on Sunday.
Yep.
That's all I gotta say. All right, we shall see what happens there. But Saturday, the Gophers. Last Saturday, the Gophers take down the Wolfpack 27-0. Congrats to the Wolves. Coming off, another blowout win, which is interesting because this was the first time in, since 1962 or something like that, that the Gophers have gotten back-to-back shutouts or something. Just insane. But, there's a lot of, there's some good stats from last week. You have Brosmer going 16-26, 191, touchdown, interception. Darius Taylor was a beast. Love that guy. 11 carries, 124 yards, 2 tutties. And not only that, he had 5 receptions, 37 yards, and another tutty. So the Gophers are looking good going into this Iowa game. Voldy, we saw a little bit more balance. We saw them get the ball to Daniel Jackson, Elijah Spencer, Darius Taylor. Voldy, I think the key to a Gophers victory in keeping Floyd of Rosedale. How do you like the Gophers probably have to, quote unquote, keep that balance, be able to play good defense. They've been playing great defense these past 3 games. How do you look at this game going into Saturday? What do you got?
I said at the start of the season the defense is going to have to carry the Gophers for a number of games this season. And I feel like that's going to be this matchup against Iowa because we've seen in the past a lot of 13-9, 17-10, 12-3 contest between Iowa and Minnesota. Just the defense of Iowa finds a way to frustrate a lot of what the Gophers bring in offensively. Flip side, the Gopher defense has done just enough to keep the Hawkeyes down, but not enough to get a win, unfortunately. I think what we've seen from the defense, they're a team that gets after the ball when it comes to trying to strip the ball away, turnovers, interceptions, fumble recoveries too. We've seen this the last couple of weeks and throughout the season too. If they can be able to get a couple turnovers against Iowa, they've got a legit chance at holding on to Floyd for this season. Now, on the other side, for Iowa's offense, I should say, Iowa's offense has been a revelation because we've seen Iowa's offense, for lack of a better term, has sucked. Let's just say. Yes. They've sucked the last few years. In fact, when the Iowa fans are cheering on the punter to do more than the actual offense, it's kind of sad. That's a complete opposite this season. I mean, they are pouring on points like crazy, and it baffles me, it confuses me, and it slightly angers me that Iowa now has an offense to go along with this rugged, tough-nosed, just really be a pain in your side kind of defense. And I feel like it's going to be much of a battle of who can hold on to the ball and score last, basically, because you look at the matchup. I feel like the defense for the Gophers is going to have to really shoulder the burden in this matchup against against Iowa's offense, just because of the fact that they've really ramped things up, I should say, against their competition this season. If the Gophers can get a couple of turnovers and turn those into points, I see a Gophers win and they keep Floyd for another year.
Let's go. One thing to add, the Gophers currently right now.
Fair catch. Fair catch, by the way.
Fair catch. Fair catch.
Oops.
Piss off all them Iowa fans. Who hates Iowa? We hate Iowa. So number 5 defense in the nation, allowing only 186.3 yards per game. Now, I know they've only played teams that they should beat, even though unfortunately they lost to North Carolina. They really should have beat them. But I like the way their defense is playing, and they take advantage of those interceptions, fumbles. They've been doing it really well. The Hawkeyes are 2.5 or a 2-point favorite to beat the Gophers at Huntington Bank. The reason why I think they're going to win, it's at Huntington Bank. Taylor is going to go off, hopefully, and I think the key for them, get the passing game. Brosman, get it done. Please, we're begging you. So, go Gophers, Sky-U-Ma, go Skull Vikings, the whole bit. That will do it for Tater Tot Hot Take tonight. I mean, so much to talk about with that. And we move on to another Minnesota team. Now, last week, Voldy, for ARA, we talked about how Royce Lewis and our good old friend Roccobaldelli, and I say that with sarcasm. I want to kind of explain what has kind of happened this whole season. And for Callahan School of Logic, we're going to dive into some of the things that why this is a organizational failure of the season that the Twins are having right now. Yes, they are. I think they're winning right now. I think it's like 3-2 or something like that. But I want them to win. I'll explain that a little bit with Callahan School of Logic. But this has been an abject failure from our organization, and we need to address this. It includes Roccobaldelli as well, but this needs to be addressed. So, without further ado, let's get your pencils, pens, notebooks, the whole deal. It's time for Callahan School of Logic.
Class is in session. You're enrolled in Callahan's School of Logic.
All right, welcome to Callahan School of Logic. I really, it was such a good week. It was such a good week last week. I'm glad that we posted that thing with Roccobaldelli. I still have those same feelings. Now, you're probably wondering, oh, great, it's going to be another thing Maddie sees. He's going to go on a Twins rant about the pohlads and Roccobaldelli and stuff. Let's just focus on this season for a second. Let's talk about some of the events that have happened, to name a few. So, starting off, let's start with the beginning, or I should say the off season, right? So, let's start with the injuries. The injuries with the Minnesota Twins. There have been a lot of injuries. Correa, Joe Ryan, Buxton, no surprise. Paddock, Kepler, Kirilloff, Duarte, DeScalafani, Brock Stewart. But in my estimation, and I'm not saying I blame those guys, this is a poor excuse for them not being able to get to where they want to go. I don't want us to point the finger at that, just say, well, we had injuries. No. There have been the organization, the front office, the manager. Let me explain. So, let's start with the front office and the dumbass pohlads. Cutting the payroll after a successful season. We all know the deal. We all know how we feel about it. But let's just dive into this for a second here. So there was an article posted by SI here. And shout out to Tiny Joe Nelson. He used to be at KFAN. Now he's doing stories here for SI. The pohlads were making it seem, the Twins organization were making it seem that they didn't have anything to do with what was going on with Bally, what was going on with Comcast and whatnot. And yes, they filed for bankruptcy, the whole, kit and caboodle. Anyway, we don't need to go over that. But this is what the Twins said in their statement. The Twins are disappointed by the massive disruption for our fans who simply want to watch our games. A statement from the Twins reads, "This situation is a business negotiation between Comcast and Bally. The Twins have no role or voice in this matter. We are hopeful that the two parties are able to come to an agreement as soon as possible." Okay? So this was from May 1st to whenever it finally came back, but you have to have a subscription to something or whatever. Really stupid. Anyway, so the team statement has been met with accusations of the following: the money rather than setting the Twins and fans up with a broadcast partner that could ensure games are televised for the majority of 2024. So they talk about that. But Aaron Gleeman of The Athletic, and obviously a contributor to KFAN, he said, while that's technically true, it's only an issue because the Twins chose more money over more availability by returning to Bally. Now, here's the quote that I think really rubs fans and myself, and I'd assume you too, Voldy, the wrong way. This quote that John Bonus had, who was also a contributor to KFAN, the Gleeman and the Geek podcast, shout out to them. Some fans have clamored for the Twins to launch a direct-to-consumer channel through Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball tried to get involved, and then it was a route that the Arizona Diamondbacks opted to take at a cost of $19.99 a month, but the Twins instead opted to re-sign with Diamond Sports Group, a.k.a. Bally, right? Bonus added that the Twins then pocketed that money. It hasn't been divulged of how much Diamond Sports Group paid the Twins to partner with Bally Sports this season, but it is believed to be on the order of tens of millions of dollars. The pohlads said, nope, we don't have any. We're not involved. This is not how it works. They pocketed the money. So that's interesting. Isn't that interesting? We're not involved, but we're gonna pocket that money and just put it in our pockets, and we're just not gonna do anything with it. Oh, okay. I'm not gonna go there yet. We got a lot to talk about with this. So it seems like, they were involved, and they did what they do best, and giving the fan base the middle finger and hoarding their money, which they do best, and sit up in their ivory tower looking down at all the peasants, right? Along with missed opportunities at the trade deadline. So it's not only just what was going on there, but the trade deadline. Let's take a look at this article, Voldy. Twins indifferent, disheartened after the team's dormant trade deadline, but quickly turn page. The key in this is that this is by Dan Hayes, who is a respectable writer in the MLB. Says one person in the Twins clubhouse said Wednesday that they had no words for the team's limited action at the trade deadline a day before. Another described some teammates as being disheartened by the team's lack of deals on that day. What an absolute dumpster fire of a situation. They went and got some reliever. He only lasted 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Literally, yeah.
And this is just, you can't make this up. You can't make this up. And so not only are the players disheartened by that, but multiple players in previous years, Torrey Hunter, Justin Morneau, I think even Joe Nathan, Nick Punta, I'm maybe, or I'm pretty sure, for sure, I think Johan Santana mentioned it. Torrey Hunter's voiced his opinion. I think Kirby Puckett even at one point, their dissatisfaction with the lack of moves that they made. Now, so you got that, which pretty much means they don't have enough money. They cut the payroll. We all know that. You're not getting any key players because, well, you don't have the money. When you do, because the pohlads are pocketing it, because they're just looking down and saying, well, we don't give a crap. We don't care about Twins fans and how they feel. We're just happy to own this team and go from there. Now let's go over to Roccobaldelli. Yes, one of the many pohlad yes men. Rocco started managing club 2019. His first year, he gets manager of the year. Okay, that's no easy feat. I'll give him flowers there. The Twins win the Central, but guess what happens? They get swept by the Yankees. They get swept. Get out the brooms. Sweep, sweep, sweep. Yeah. And then, not only that, but COVID year, so like they were 36-24. They make the playoffs. You know, the whole Bomba Squad thing going on. The Bats, unfortunately, went silent. And they lost in the first round to an Astros team that was hampered by the cheating scandal and everything like that. They lose to him. Rocco takes out Jose Barrios way too early. The Twins lose the series versus the Houston Astros. So that didn't go well. Then you go fast forward 2021, 2022. They don't even make the playoffs. Well, blame injury, blame blah, blah, it doesn't matter. 2023, they make the playoffs, and then they win the playoffs. They win the playoff series versus the Jays and the big ass drought that they had. They go to the next series. They're outcoached by the Astros. Dusty Baker outcoached Roccobaldelli by a mile. This year has been an abject failure, absolute failure. You all saw the video last week that we put out on Monday with Royce and Rocco. Rocco saying that they are playing unprofessional baseball, etc., which tells us that this is a toxic clubhouse right now. And the Twins do not trust him. The Twins players do not trust Roccobaldelli. Now, let me bring up a couple things, or one thing here. Our guy, Voldy, Trevor Plouffe, was a great player for the Twins for a long time. Sure. Trevor Plouffe said after Roccobaldelli said they're calling the Twins unprofessional or whatever, he was quoted saying, and this was Trevor Plouffe's quote, he says, if you're going to sit there and call out people, you have to be ready to be called out. Yes. Yep. And that is exactly what we want to hear, because this isn't just, oh, the players aren't playing well, they're unprofessional, blah, blah, blah. No, it's Rocco. It's Rocco. Stop blaming it on your players when you haven't been doing shit this whole time, Rocco. Shut up. And you can't say it's unprofessional and then, expect, well, this is going to change things, that we're going to play better and everything like that. They don't respect you. Royce already is pissed at you. All the players are pissed at you, because you take players out early. And he was also quoted saying, you bring up being called unprofessional, and what does that mean in the clubhouse? It's not good. It's not the way to really get the trust of your players. Look, I'm just passing along this information. This isn't me saying this. It's other people. This isn't a situation where, oh, you're just speculating or anything. This is happening. And no one's doing anything about it. And what are the pohlads doing? They don't care. They own the team. You can't take them off that pedestal. We can bitch and moan all we want, Shield, and zoners. We can bitch all we want. They're just going to sit there counting their money. Yep. That's all that matters. So, I was going to bring up this Sonny Gray, Roccobaldelli interaction. I should send out the link to people, because I think this was last year, and you could tell Sonny Gray was ready to punch Rocco in the freaking face. It was to that point where I kind of hope he socks him, because it's just a stupid ass decision, with that. So, okay, give me a second, catch my breath here. We're gonna finish this. Okay, which brings me to the current situation where they stand now. let me read what we have currently. This was put out by CBS Sports.
right.
Mike Agzia, so shout out to him. They blew a 3-run lead against the Guardians a couple days ago. The margin of error keeps shrinking, says Pablo Lopez. After allowing 2 runs and 6 1/3 inning in Monday's loss, only 2 runs. Wow, and you take them out after 6 and a third. Now it's to the point where we've got to take it one day at a time, one pitch at a time, one bat at a time. Today will be a tough pill to swallow, which was when they lost. Now, the Detroit Tigers are actually gaining steam, but the Twins, with them winning last night and winning right now, that should give them the cushion. Now, I want to preface this by saying the reason why I wanted to talk about this today is because Mark Rosen, if you listen back to the Common Man program, shout out the Common Man program, by the way, copyright, everything, the whole deal. He had a nice little rant. He wasn't yelling or anything, but he was explaining exactly what is going on. And basically what it was is a slap in the face to Minnesota Twins fans with the pohlads, the whole deal. So I want you guys, if you go to KFAN, you go and check out that podcast. It was, I believe, the 3rd hour of the Common Man program. He puts it eloquently, absolutely eloquently. So make sure you check that out. If the Twins end up making the playoffs, they're going to be out in the first round. It's that simple. They don't have the pitching. They don't have enough starting pitching and or relief pitching to go on a run or even get out of the first freaking round or the wild card,
Right.
whatever. Now, the logic here, the bats have gone cold as well. There hasn't been a lot of good with that. The logic here is that the Minnesota Twins organization, from the pohlads to the front office to Roccobaldelli, have failed this fan base. Now, they should be ashamed of themselves and need to be held accountable. They have to be held accountable for this. We want this team to compete for a World Series, but the Twins will never get out of their own way with the current ownership, with the front office, and the manager they have right now. We care. Those in power don't. And I was listening this morning to KFAN. Meat Sauce was on. I want to bring this one up to end this, okay? He said that if the Twins make the playoffs, the players deserve it, but the owners do not.
No,
And
they
that
don't.
is exactly why this is the whole thing. So logic in all this is that the Twins organization have failed this fan base for their lack of spending money, for their lack of good leadership, and quite frankly, it shows they don't give a shit. I mean, it's that simple. It really is. And I am sick and tired of having to bring this up, but someone has to give them the hard God's honest truth. So that's what I got for Callahan School of Logic. Voldy, what are your any other thoughts to add with it?
It really all boils down to how the next couple of weeks are going to play out here for the Twins, given the fact that if they do make the playoffs, sure, it's nice, but how far are they going to go? Are they going to bow out of the first round again, given how injury hampered they've been the last, 3-4 months, it feels like, even longer than that, probably the whole season they've been hurt one way or another. But everything that's gone into it has been obviously decisions from Rocco and all the way up to the top of the Pohlad family, not being aggressive at the trade deadline to add a piece or two that could have pushed the Twins over the top. Decisions within the dugout of when to take a guy out of a start early or so, even if he is throwing the ball really well, going through the lineup a second or third time, and even the questionable decisions of whether to play one guy or another and basically pointing fingers at each other. There is just a whole lot of this current situation that needs to change, that probably won't change because, like we've talked about this whole time, the Pohlad family, they don't care. They don't care enough to say, we need a change in our clubhouse. We need to look at things differently, and we need to go out and we need to go spend some money, get some guys, so that way we're competing for a championship come October. They're not doing it. And I've been saying it basically the whole season. Trevor Bauer's still out there. He had one hell of a season down in Mexico and is still getting blackballed by Major League Baseball. You want to make a splash? You want to make a move? Go get a guy that basically everybody hates besides baseball fans. Baseball fans will flock to Minnesota to watch Trevor Bauer start. Good, bad, indifferent, it doesn't matter. I think the Twins really need to start looking at, especially the organization, of how do we differ from the ones at the top. They've got plenty of money to work with. Their fans love or die with them. Sometimes they hate them more than they love them. They hate losing more than they love winning. But when they win, oh boy, do they love winning. And the Pohlad family just doesn't want to invest into it and go get a few key free agents. Maybe go get a manager that's well worth it. Even if they do make the playoffs, say they get knocked out of the first round. Will Rocco be the manager next season? Barring some sort of catastrophic, cataclysmic altercation in the clubhouse or even in the dugout itself, sadly, he might be back for another season. But if they don't make the playoffs, bags are packed. Rocco is heading on out of town, I think, in my mind. Out of all of it, Twins need help more than we can talk about here on this show.
The only way, and again, it's frustrating. And it doesn't seem like it will change. And even if they don't make it, if they don't make it, he has to go. I've been saying it for years now, 2 years now, that he needs to go. The players don't respect him. He's made the bonehead decisions like we have talked about.
Right.
He needs to go, and the pohlads are just sitting down counting their money. They don't care. The only way that I feel like even if they would oust, if fans stop going to the games, that is a tall task in itself. I know, because it's summer, people want to get out and do stuff. But look, if you got people that are pissed beyond belief that you're not making those moves, then who the hell is going to want to come to Minnesota, right? Exactly. Who's going to want to come here if they're like, nah, maybe you'll make the playoffs, maybe you'll win a series, but you won't get to the World Series. Like, it's fine. Happy to be here.
Happy to be here.
Anyway, so with that being said, that's just going to conclude what we got for Callahan School of Logic. I want to preface this by saying, too, I want this team to do well. I want to see them have success. I don't want to see them go down in a blaze of glory, but when you have dumbass pohlads that are sitting up there thinking that because I'm rich, we can do whatever we want, you should be ashamed of yourself. You should absolutely be ashamed of yourself. Get rid of the team since you don't care. Give the Twins to an owner that cares and wants to win a damn World Series. All right, we're done. With that being said, that'll do it. School of Logic. ARA, Voldy, we got a lot for ARA tonight.
Yes.
Bryceyoung, rough go for him. We'll talk about that first. Tua sent to the IR. First-year Pro Football Hall of Fame candidates. I love that. Quinnewers hurt. Archmanning steps in, and we got Miketrout open to a position change. So a lot to hit on for ARA. So, Voldy, I say we get going with some observed or approved.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
As we let my blood pressure go down a little bit, Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
Starting in the world of the National Football League, or some call it not for long, well, the starting tenure for Bryceyoung and the Carolina Panthers has not been for long, as it was announced here on Monday that the former first overall draft pick from the 2023 NFL Draft, Bryceyoung, will be benched in favor of backup Andy Dalton for the Carolina Panthers going into the contest on Sunday against the Las Vegas Raiders. Of course, at now the age 23 season For Bryce Young, his first season, a 2-15 season, now coming into the 2024 season, 0-2 to start off. New head coach, new GM, whole new regime from when he entered the league last season. Bryce Young has not been off to a good start, unfortunately, given the weapons that he does have, the ownership situation, basically the whole franchise as a whole in ruin after the last couple of seasons down in Carolina. There's been inconsistencies with his play, inconsistencies with availability of receivers, and even playmaking ability. But for the former first overall draft pick, now getting a chance to sit back and watch, given the fact that he was slated as the starter from the very get-go of being drafted by the Carolina Panthers. Is it absurd or approved? Will the Carolina Panthers be able to rebound with Andy Dalton starting for them for the, foreseeable future? We'll see.
Well, I'm glad that you brought this up because there's been a lot of talk with this decision by the Panthers. And, they had our guy, Mel Kiper, who's been on this show, by the way, which it's always a pleasure to have Mel on. But he was on Get Up or something like that on ESPN, and he was kind of explaining, like, listen, this isn't Bryce Young. It's the Panthers. They are an embarrassment right now. After Cam Newton, you not only have you not only bring in Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold.
Andy Dalton.
They're looking now. You bring in Andy Dalton. Let me look at what they're doing right now. They're killing it. They're absolutely doing great with good coaching and a good organization. Right now, the Carolina Panthers are a mess. Bryce Young, I feel like, they threw away the offense pretty much after one season. They got rid of McCown. Thanks, by the way, for Josh McCown. They're not giving this kid the right tools in order to be successful in this league. They get absolutely throttled by the New Orleans Aints. It's only 2 games, by the way, just saying. But the next game you play the Chargers. Okay, you're not going to beat the Chargers, especially with the game that he had. But I believe that he has potential. He just needs to be put, again, in the right situation. Not saying like, they're going to trade him, they're not going to trade him. With this new regime that has been brought in, the goal is to get them where they need to go by giving him a chance to sit and learn a little bit. And Andy Dalton, he's filled in a good number of times. Is he comparable? Yes. I think he can be effective. I think he's going to give them a little bit more juice. The last time Andy Dalton started, he did quite well, especially with our guy Adam Thielen. By the way, Adam, you want to come on back? Just saying. You want to win some games? You want a chance at a Super Bowl? Just saying.
You want to say that Adam Thielen saying that this team was able to win a Super Bowl last season was good on him? Yeah, not exactly.
Just saying, Adam. If you
need him,
back, we'll bring you. We'll bring it back. You hang out with Jets. Hang out with Naylor.
Yeah.
I like it. Addison.
Work on that gritty.
He's great. Work on the gritty. Yeah. I think he's perfected it, actually. But anyway, to answer your question, Voldy, pretty much I think they will be able to rebound. To what extent? That's the question. I think their offense is going to look better. I don't see them winning in week 3. I think they play. Who do they play, by the way? Do we remember? Niners?
This week or
this week 3.
Yeah, they play the Raiders.
The Raiders. Okay, well, it can be a winnable game. I'm just saying. But I think they'll bounce back. To what extent? It's going to be better than it was with Bryce. I think Bryce Young's going to sit back, kind of learn things, and then when he's ready to get back in, maybe we'll see something. So, stamp approval. I think they'll bounce back a little bit. Voldy, what do you think?
You look at the situation right now that they're in, especially for Bryce Young and Dave Canales and the GM that they have in Carolina. Neither one of them were picked by the other. Bryce Young was brought in and drafted by a different GM. Obviously, his first head coach was Frank Reich. That barely lasted a whole season and fired after 11 games, I think it was last season for Frank Reich and also for Carolina. Interim coach at that point. You throw everything out and, hey, we're looking forward to 2024. This situation does not look good for Bryce Young. Is it on him? No, not necessarily. The things have not gone their way to start off, especially learning a new offensive system, because Dave Canales was brought in as an offensive coach because he was the offensive coordinator down in Tampa Bay the last couple of seasons. That worked out well for the resurgence of, Baker Mayfield, and obviously them building off when they had with a former quarterback in Tom Brady there, hence why the Buccaneers jersey here tonight. But right now, I think for Bryce Young, this might serve him better because you see all these, first-round rookie quarterbacks that have come in the last couple of years, and you've seen them be forced in right away. Some maybe sooner than others. Bryce Young started right off the bat. Caleb Williams has started right off the bat. But you've seen guys that might have gotten a little bit of time to adjust. Again, we keep going back to Patrick Mahomes in his first season only started one game in week 17. I look at a guy like Justin Herbert. He got in, I think, maybe 1.5 games before he was the starter because of the fact that Tyrod Taylor got stabbed and punctured a lung. But that's not his fault. He came in and has never looked back at that point in his career for Justin Herbert. But the fact that now guys are drafted in the first round and are expected to start right away does a disservice to them, especially given the advancement of the pro football style, as opposed to saying, you come from Alabama, you come from a USC, you come from an Oklahoma, these big Power 5 conference schools that are very comparable to the NFL, but the NFL is a completely different game, completely different style, completely different level of football, that a lot of these guys can't fully adjust from the college to the NFL style. But looking at what we're at right now, especially with Andy Dalton now taking the reins, yes, he's a very serviceable quarterback. He'd done his time, obviously, with Cincinnati. Then he ended up in Chicago, and he ended up in Dallas for a stretch. Played a few games here and there, serving as a spot starter, backup type as well. Now in Carolina, he knows he's at his point of career where he's going to be a primary backup. But if he can still get his starts when he can, take advantage, I think he'll be happy with just about anything at this point in his career. Will he be able to improve from 2-15 last season? I would certainly think so. But starting with the Raiders on Sunday, I'm going to say that's probably not going to be a win for them because the Raiders right now, they are scary, to say the least. With that defense, with now Gardner Minshew leading the way offensively, they're a scary bunch right now, especially when they took down Baltimore last week. Will they be able to rebound with Andy Dalton? I'll say yes, it's got my stamp of approval.
Yeah, well, it's going to be an interesting couple weeks for them. Hopefully they put somebody on the trade block. Just saying. Just throwing that out there. All right.
I hear Thielen looks good in purple. That's all I say.
Yeah, just saying. I don't have to get rid of my
purple,
jersey.
I believe.
Oh, well, I really wouldn't. The Minnesota Twins are up 4-2, Voldy in the 10th. So they got to close things out. Hopefully it doesn't turn into an abject failure. Congratulations to the players. You guys are the true MVPs. All right, next one, Voldy.
Staying in the world of the NFL, the Miami Dolphins did announce after his third diagnosed concussion, basically within a calendar year, quarterback Tua Tagovailoa has been placed on the injured reserve and has suffered another significant concussion, obviously, that did take place in the Thursday night loss against the Buffalo Bills. I remember I was watching this game. I saw the hit. I saw his arms go up, and I thought, oh, this is not good for Miami or for Tua at that same time. Now, given the fact of his third diagnosed concussion, it feels like it's only been a year since this has happened, but it's probably been a longer between those three diagnosed concussions. A lot more conversations have taken place lately with him going to the IR. Is this the end of Tua in the NFL career? Coming into, obviously, from college, he did get hurt towards the back end of his college career at Alabama with a hip. He's taken a lot of hits. He's hit, he's suffered quite a few many concussions in his time. those that have been diagnosed, those that haven't. He's still taken a lot of hits in his time, but retirement is a common word that has been thrown out when it comes to Tua's longevity, if in the NFL or if just in life as well. The Dolphins did get proactive signing Tyler Huntley off the Ravens practice squad to help out with Skylar Thompson, who will be starting on Sunday for the Miami Dolphins. But looking at everything that's taken place, the comments from Mike McDaniel, Tua's playmaking ability, and now getting another concussion in the mix, is it absurd or approved? Now with the IR, him staying on for 4 games, will we see Tua finish the season as starting quarterback for the Dolphins?
I think it's got my stamp of approval. I think the main thing of this whole situation with him is that I watched the game too on Prime, and right when he went down, and when you see that hand kind of go a little bit distorted, that tells you, yeah. When I saw it, I was like, he's done. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Now, what I meant by he's done, like he's going to be out for long term. I didn't think retirement with him, even though there have been conversations talking with it. I am no doctor, and I did actually do a speech on concussions, and you can attest to that. But I think talking with the doctor, I think that has to be, within the confines of the medical needs that he needs at this point. Now, looking at his history, it hasn't been good, right? A lot of people saying he should retire and everything like that. I think it depends on what the doctors say. If the doctors say he takes another hit like that, I mean, he's already taking a risk, but the fact that he has had this history, I think people are like, well, you got to look out for the long term. I mean, he could, he could lose his life over it, right? But I think with the medical professionals that are available to him and are consulting and are trying to, figure out, how they can do that, I think he will come back to the IR, obviously, or come back after he is off the IR, and I think he is going to be the starting quarterback for the Dolphins as well. Now, we know he has that clause as well, as in, like, if he, if he retires, then he gets some of the insurance, things like that. So that is worked out, which is good. But I think he will. I think he's going to come back. I don't think there's any plans for him to retire at this point. All signs are pointing like he's going to play again. But I'm telling you, Voldy, if he gets another one, you might have to call it. I mean, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we're trying to look out for the longevity. Even if he retired right now, I wouldn't blame him because we all see what happens with CTE and everything. So, it's got my stamp of approval. I think he's gonna start again here. So, Tate, welcome to the show, and Dad, what do you think?
I look at the whole situation. There's a lot of things going on with Tua being out. That does hurt the Dolphins and their chances, at least during this 4-game stretch. Skylar Thompson, he's the backup. Is he capable? I guess we'll see. I remember in the game a couple years ago when Tua got knocked out, even Teddy Bridgewater got knocked out. Skylar Thompson had to come in, and, well, that didn't really work. Really benefited the Vikings in that game overall. But Skylar Thompson is the one that will be put into the reins here the next 3 to 4, at least coming up here with the game on Sunday. I see this, unfortunately, now talking about Tua, 3 concussions, pretty severe contact that has taken place in the last few years for him. I mean, he did play every single game last season, which was great because that's one thing that the Dolphins needed was him to be healthy and contributing for them overall. But given the fact that now another concussion in his short NFL career thus far, I mean, it's sooner or later the power is going to be taken away from him. It's got to be a medical decision for him. I think looking at all the options that they have right now, they're probably going to evaluate here after, he gets that time to rest his mind and, at least get healthy. He's got 4 games to, at least rest up. I don't know how many mental reps, if any, that he'll get during that time, how involved he'll be with the team overall, besides being from a leadership standpoint. I think obviously for him, he's got to get healthy. He's got to look at things big picture because, football is there, but it's not always going to be there. What's life after football look like? And if he's going to be, for lack of a better term, if he's going to be a vegetable, I mean, it's not going to be good for him, not going to be good for his family, not going to be good for a lot of people what he used to be. I think right now is too much going on right now for him to make a decision whether to play, whether to retire. I think obviously him getting healthy is the big thing. I think he will start because the Dolphins need him is the thing. And if they want to be able to compete, because we've already seen, obviously the Bills are 2-0 right now. They always play well against Miami. The Jets finally get a win. They're 1-1. We'll see what happens with New England here. They're also 1-1, but with the Dolphins, they're in a tough spot right now, and they need to be able to compete here over the next 4 games.
Yeah, and Skylar Thompson's got to show something, or else they're going to put in Huntley. Which again, he's not a bad quarterback, and obviously to fill in. But if they can get him back, that would definitely help them. But got to look out for the long term as well too. So we definitely understand that. All right, next one, Volde.
Well, sticking with another story out of the National Football League, the list of first-time eligible players for the Pro Football Hall of Fame were announced here today, as it does include a list of who's who and also includes a list of, man, we are getting old players, including 2-time Super Bowl MVP Eli Manning, former Defensive Players of the Year Luke Kuechly, and Terrell Suggs out of Also Hard University, kicking legend Adam Vinatieri, and many, many others, including 2-time All-Pro guard Marshall Yanda, among the first-timers that are eligible for induction as part of the Pro Football Hall of Fame's class of 2025. Of course, that does include the screening committee that will reduce that list from eligible modern-era candidates down to 50 over the next month, then down to a list of 25 semifinalists, 15 finalists, and then obviously the class will be announced before the Super Bowl, and that 2025 class will be inducted next summer in Canton, Ohio. Now, looking at the list of course, the names that we did throw out there for first-year eligible players, which has also included guys like Travis Frederick, Ryan Khalil, Joe Staley, Marshawn Lynch, Darren Sproles, the late Demarius Thomas, Vernon Davis, Delaney Walker, Antoine Bethea, Aqib Talib, and even member of the Legion of Boom himself, Earl Thomas. Those are the first-time eligible guys. Who do you think would be most likely to make it on their first time showing up on the Pro Football Hall of Fame candidates list?
Oh, man, this is such a good list. I love it. It's just
old.
Yeah, I know.
We're old, man.
I
We
know.
grew up with a lot of these guys.
I know. I just, I love doing this. Just because, especially that I've been to Canton and everything like that. I mean, it's just, it's so cool to see these names. Like Luke Kuechly, that was, I feel like, only a couple of years ago then he, retired.
He should still be playing. I feel like Luke Kuechly,
I think so.
If he didn't take his health into consideration, which I'm glad he did, he could still very well be playing.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I think he definitely would be too. But out of the list, I think Vinatieri, I think, should be in for sure.
Definitely.
I think he's probably first ballot. T. Sizzle, I mean, enough said. I think even Luke Kuechly, for that matter as well. Marshall Yanda, he was awesome guard for the Ravens. And didn't he play for the Niners too, if I'm not mistaken?
Yanda, I think so.
Okay, gotcha. And then the other names, the rest I could try, like Demarius, that would be really a cool sentiment to honor him there. But Voldy, I'm looking at this one name, and you know who I'm talking about.
Don't do it.
Don't
do it.
When I say that, and I
Look,
hope you
is
know.
he a Hall of Fame player? The argument is yes. Personally, hell to the no.
Really?
But he's got me. It's me personally.
Bro, I've been here the whole time.
Oh, that's not the guy you're talking about.
That
Okay,
action,
cool.
boss.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about beast mode, man.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. He's a Hall of
I'm
Famer
talking
for
about
sure.
beast mode. I think beast mode is a Hall of Famer through.
Not gonna
and
lie, I
through.
thought you were talking about Eli. So. You know.
Oh well, that's another conversation. I'm gonna throw to you, but
Yes.
So you got that factored in, but also you have those second year players. Jared Allen's still up for that. I think he should be in there. Rodney Harrison, I think eventually will be a part of that. Darren Woodson, Eric Allen, Jari Evans, Willie Anderson, Reggie Wayne, Torrey Holt.
Freddie T.
Antonio. I thought Antonio Gates got. Oh no, he hasn't yet. Antonio Gates should too.
It's only
Fred
like his
Taylor.
second or third year, I think. I think he came in with Jared Allen on the list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I want. It's just like shoot. Just put all. No, Delaney Walker, Bethea. I could see that. Aqib Talib. Sure. Earl Thomas was very good until he went psycho those last few years.
Yes.
But that's a whole nother thing. But I'm gonna go with beast mode. I think the Beast Quake, the game that he had in the Super Bowl against the Broncos, even against the Patriots, even though they did lose, but he had a great game as well too. So, Voldy, what do you think?
I look at the list here overall, and I think we should probably just get this one out of the way when it concerns Eli Manning.
Do it.
He's got the numbers. He's got the style points, if you will. 2-time Super Bowl champion, 2-time Super Bowl MVP, beat Tom Brady twice in the big game. Yeah, those numbers say, yes, he's a Hall of Famer. Personally, though, hell to the no. I want to hold that. I have more respect for Peyton Manning than I do Eli Manning. I think Eli is just that little brother who just keeps poking you, following you around. Hey, guys, can I play? Wait for me. Can I come too? And just will never leave you alone. And I absolutely hate him so much. I respect Peyton. Peyton I respect more than others. I mean, he is much more personable. He's funnier. I think he's even more better looking than Eli. I just have a personal vendetta against Eli Manning for what he did in those 2 Super Bowls and beat the Patriots. One of them of which, of course, was a fluke. Second one, I'll let it slide. Yeah, they were a little bit better in that contest overall. Looking at some of the other guys on the list, too, I think, man, it's hard to deny the fact of the overall dominance of Luke Kuechly in his time. Sure, he played on some very questionable teams down in Carolina. Yes, they made that one Super Bowl run with Cam Newton at quarterback, too. I mean, though, but he was just as much of a game wrecker in his time, given the fact that he probably didn't get a lot of the hype because he played in Carolina. If he played in, I don't know, if he played in Dallas or he played in Philly, we'd be holding him as probably the greatest linebacker up there in his generation, next to Ray Lewis, next to Mike Singletary, next to, Jack Lambert and the old Steel Curtain defense too. That combination, with him, I could definitely see him being a first ballot guy. But, Adam Vinatieri, if he doesn't go in on his first ballot, it's the system is flawed. Yes, there is a thing about kickers and them getting into the Hall of Fame. Do they really contribute at the same level as they do with other players and football players too? It's tough to really throw that all into account. But Adam Vinatieri is Super Bowl champion multiple times over, winning games, all-time points leader, I think, as well still, which I don't know how the math all really maths out with that, considering you're kicking 1 and 3 points over your career. How's that all add up to most points scored, where you're getting guys that are throwing touchdowns and, all that too, which are worth 6 points? I don't know how that all works. Nonetheless, those are the guys that I really look at as being first ballot Hall of Famers for sure.
HOF. I love it when they announce the finalists. It's so much fun. So yeah, we'll see who gets in, who doesn't, and go from there. All right, let's do the next one. Vote.
Well, heading to the world of college football, the University of Texas now ascending at number 1 of the AP poll, despite the fact that they lose their starting quarterback to an injury. Quinnewers did have to get pulled out of this contest against UTSA, but have no fear. Another Manning is here, Archmanning, that is, who in the exit of Quinnewers at starting in that second quarter. Well, he came out and he slanged a couple of touchdowns in a 56-7 win over UTSA, which did include a 67 rushing yard score for him, attributing his speed, at least the Manning family, attributing the speed to his mom, then his dad or his 2 uncles as well. But with Arch Manning likely to start coming up here on Saturday for the Longhorns, or maybe nothing changes at all for them. But Coach Steve Sarkisian for the Longhorns did make mention as well. Nothing really changes, or the hype that comes along with Arch Manning's possibly starting for the Texas Longhorns. Nothing really changes, even with the day-to-day monitoring of Quinnewers being the starter. Things are still pretty quiet overall, with possibly the return of Quinn, maybe Arch getting the start, or even seeing a 2 quarterback mix up with even Manning and Trey Owens getting into the mix, the freshman quarterback. But looking at the situation with Quinnewers and possible him not getting the start or even fewer, if Arch Manning comes out and starts slinging the ball like he did and even performing at a higher level, is it absurd or approved? Arch Manning will remain the starter the rest of the season, coming up here with this contest coming up for the Longhorns.
I'd say so. Like Case Keenum once famously said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I say that because, again, you know the name. Obviously, with the name like last name like Manning, you're expected to be well. And also, he can run too, so you got that going for you. But I want to throw in there that if he keeps playing well and they're winning the games and stuff like that, we've seen what we have with Ewers and everything like that. And it sounds like he's a team guy. He's very, he only wants what's best for the team and everything like that. So that's good to hear. But again, if it's kind of a performance, and I think they put in years, kind of go from there, see where it takes them. But throwing 223 yards, 4 touchdowns, and then a 67-yard rushing score, and I know it's UTSA, like, okay, that's fine, whatever. But
the Roadrunners.
I mean, that's a pretty good stat line. I mean, you can't deny that. So, I think it's got my stamp of approval. If he's hot, keep it going. If not, if there's some bumpy waves coming in, I say put in yours, get it rolling. But it'll be interesting. Maybe they say, you know what, he's playing well. We'll wait another year, have years go, then he'll go to the NFL, go from there. So
right,
I don't know. We'll see. Oh, and the Twins just lost 5-4. Rocco needs to go. Rocco needs to go. Get the hell out of Minnesota. Again? Rocco needs to go. Hey! That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
All right, Voldy. What do you think?
I mean, even with these non-conference matchups to start off the season for Texas, at the end of the day, ball is still ball, even if you are playing UTSA, if you're playing Colorado State. Look, putting up numbers, reading defenses, and getting those looks has been crucial for Arch Manning. I mean, we saw a little bit of it at a couple of times, last few minutes of a few games against, for Texas last season in that March to the college football playoff. Sure, it was nice, but now seeing him get quality reps and obviously a possibility of him getting the start too coming up here for the Longhorns. I mean, even in that relief that he had, early second quarter. So basically he got 2.5 quarters of play, 223 yards, 4 touchdowns overall. I mean, I'll take it. Let Quinn get healthy. bigger things at play for him with possibly going to the draft, after this year, and looking at his professional future, getting manning these starts and obviously these reps right now is going to help out for the next at least the next 2 years, I think, or at least I would like to think, for Arch Manning. I don't know what goes on beyond this season and possibly next season with him and the Longhorns too. I think right now you let Ewers at least get healthy, let him get rested up here for this week, maybe at least still be a part of the offense, still a young guy with Arch Manning and getting, the action coming up for him. But I think beyond next week, see how everything plays out. Quinn's healthy enough to go. I think you still work Manning in a little bit, the whole 2-quarterback thing. Not like a true 2-quarterback system, but at least give the option to say it's not working with Quinn. We've got Arch. At least be a little quarterback battle after next week for sure.
Couldn't agree more with that. I'm sorry. I'm just with the Twins losing this.
Yep. So good.
But yeah. Anyway, all right. Let's wrap this up. Last one, Voldy.
Yeah, I'm also trying to not talk too loud because someone finally fell asleep on me. So, unfortunately, with the world of Major League Baseball and one of its premier stars that won't be around for the rest of the season, and it was announced quite some time ago, Mike Trout, the Los Angeles Angels star and franchise player, the only thing that they've got going for him, expressed a willingness to quite possibly move off of center field and either play a outfield corner position or even DH in an effort to quite possibly extend his future and stay healthy. His quote is saying, "I think everything's on the table. Ultimately, my goal is to be in that batter's box in the field every day. Whether that's moving up to a corner or DHing more, I'll leave it up to the front office to come up with a plan. Where I'm at is, and what's happened the last few years, I'm definitely going to try to explore every option that can keep me out there." Now, looking at the numbers that have taken place over the last 4 seasons, dating back all the way to 2021. This year, 29 games for Trout. Last year, 82 games. 2022, 119 games. And 2021, 36 games for Mike Trout, who's now going to be 33 and will be under contract through the 2030 season for the Angels. With him possibly moving to a corner spot or even DHing more, is it absurd or approved? Would switching positions affect Trout's overall legacy as opposed to what we've seen in his career as a center fielder?
Well, Joe Mauer did that from catcher to first and everything like that. No, I don't think so. I think it's absurd. I think, if you switch, I think he's a hell of a player. Don't get me wrong. He is. I think he can be adaptable in that sense. And the Angels are doing something that the Twins aren't doing, is actually talking talking with the player about that instead of dropping it on him. I'm just throwing that out there. But here's what I'll say about this though, Voldy, is that he's the type of guy that is willing to work with it and see where it goes. I don't think it's going to affect the legacy really by switching positions. And to be honest, it won't hurt anything if he did. If he goes to the DH, I think that's a good spot for him. Rest up, things like that. But no, I think it's absurd. I think he'll be just fine if he switches positions and kind of goes from there. And obviously he'll have an off season to do that. So just throwing that in there as well. So Voldy, what do you think?
We also talk about that Mike Trout has been in the league for 14 seasons. He's been in the league since he's been 19 years old. That is crazy to think about. And obviously he's been banged up. He's had a lot of injuries, a lot of soft tissue injuries over the years. I think overall he's built up enough clout. A lot of people still keep him in the conversation as the greatest player of this generation, considering the fact that now Shohei is one stolen base away from possibly reaching the 50 home runs, 50 stolen bases mark, be the second player to ever do that, I believe, is the current record right now. But a lot of people still putting Shohei at that greatest player right now and possibly of this generation of baseball players. For him, I think it's going to be the smart move because we saw over time a former teammate of Mike Trout, Torrey Hunter. He was a center fielder, played center for a good majority of his career with the Twins, goes to LA, eventually moves from that center field spot to right field to make way for the young pup in Mike Trout. Comes back to Minnesota for Torrey Hunter. Even played right field for his time in Detroit too. I think from that point, Torrey's career was more expanded of him being that corner outfield spot, especially in right field. Still carried that Gold Glove caliber defense. I think that's only going to be a benefit for the likes of the Angels over his time and for the career of Mike Trout. There's certainly enough built up to this point to where Trout doesn't really have to be overall concerned for legacy. I think it's going to be more beneficial for him because we even saw guys like Vladimir Guerrero Sr. I mean, he was a center fielder brought up initially, goes to right field. Well, by the time his knees and hips all went to hell, was a DH and still very well built up to the point. Well, now he's in the Hall of Fame. So I think with the switching positions, it's only going to solidify that legacy for him more because he's still got a lot left in the tank, I think. And if him being healthy, he could very well have a career resurgence and get back to that MVP conversation twofold.
Angels, they've been to the postseason, with him there, and it just never has worked out,
Mm-hmm.
and it's tough, but he's so good.
Yep.
I think maybe that change will help. So, all right, that'll do it for Absurd or Approved. And let me tell you, Voldy, great job by the way with the ARA this week, and the Twitter sphere is blowing up. People are pissed. The Fire Rocco chants are getting louder and louder and louder. And, I'll grab the pitchforks with you. I will absolutely do that. It might be time. It probably is time. It was long past time. So, anyway, great job with ARA. We've got some great Shield shout-outs tonight as we quietly have Tate sleep there. So, let's get it going with some Shield shout-outs.
Shield shoutouts.
All right, Shield, who you shouting out tonight?
Well, I will say this, especially with my kids, and I'm the same way as well. A bomb could literally go off next to their head, won't even wake up. So I'm talking a little bit quieter, but still can be quite active as well. I will say, Shield shout out to Mr. Tate, Paul Jacob, who's currently asleep in my lap, 6 months old as of this week. Has already got a couple of teeth popped. I think we mentioned that last week, but nonetheless, Shield shout out goes out to him. And of course, a Shield shout out, a season opening victory for the Granitecitylumberjacks as they won 5-4 over their rival in the Alexandria Blizzard on Saturday. Got another game coming up Saturday against the Minnesota Wilderness, their first time matching up against them, new squad in the League 2. So look forward to that, and that'll do it for Shield shoutouts this week.
We love it. Great job with Shield shoutouts this week, and great job, Tate, for getting some sleep. Being a parent, it has its perks, and obviously when you get them to sleep, boo, it feels good. So,
oh yes.
And congrats to the Lumberjacks. We're looking forward to seeing what is to come this season, taking down the Alexandria Blizzard. So, feeling good. Love it. All right. With that being said, guys, we've got a pick'em. We've got the pick'em.
Yes.
Make sure you get your picks in. Shield is in third place. He is going to get his picks in. He probably already did, give or take. Make sure you guys as well get those in, and set your lineup for our listener league as well. And we'll have a lot more fun with that too. So make sure you check that out. And also, guys, we got the merch. We got plenty of merch. Oh yes, Voldy, thank you very much. This week you have the chance to win a America MinneZona hat. Let's go, baby. Yes. You can call it a 4th of July hat if you want to. That's okay as well. So make sure you check that out. You could win that for Pick'em. Whoever gets right in Pick'em this week, You getting a hat. Just saying.
Yes, sir.
So make sure you check in with us, get those picks in. You could win that spiffy hat. So, and also you can buy that hat if you wish to as well. You know the deal. Get that type of hat. You can get the sweatpants. You can get the tumblers. You can get the stickers. You can get the winter caps. You could get the regular caps. You can get shirts too. We've got plenty of them, and we can give them to you guys as well. So, with that being said, make sure you check out our guy, Will Rattel, W2 Performance, www.w2performance.com, and make sure you check out National Fleet. Thank you to National Fleet Graphic, Crown Rental, Tyler Knudsen, for the stickers, and make sure you check out the Brotherly Ballers podcast with Tyler Hermann and Jack Vickers. They have a new episode out right now, so make sure you check those guys out. Check out TLS Performance, our guy Troy Stoudemire Jr. He's got new stuff coming out. And make sure you check out the Popcorn Bucket List, Nick Dahlhoff, and our guy Ryne Myhrberg as well. So, Omni Entertainment, you know it. You know the deal. Make sure you check those guys out. They got some awesome content, especially with new movies coming your way. So, all right. That is going to do it for episode 207. Yep, I got that right? 207. Yep. Crazy. So, make sure that we'll keep you updated on the socials medias. Hashtag Rocco needs to go. Go Vikes, go Gophers, keep that bacon, eat that bacon, beat those Hawkeyes, and we will see you next week to talk about all the victories that will be had here for Minnesota sports. So, without further ado, remember, as always, folks, keep in the zone.
Holla.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.